away. Both players forced to go. Alec Myers trying to draw 3 cards, puts 2 of them back. Finds a grizzly bear. Runeclaw bear, the first action of the game. Verdant Haven, the follow-up play for Alec. Going to shoot him up to 22. Do the opposite for Nick, drop him down to 18. Nick going to quickly fall behind if he doesn't have action. And he follows it up with a Runeclaw bear of his own. No fear from Nick, gonna pal in, offer the trade. Alec has no interest in that. Nick gonna follow it up with the 4-mana Elvish Visionary. It's a 2/2. Comes in, draws a card. Comes out ahead in the trade, where it just gets to eat Alex's grizzly bear. These players playing at a breakneck pace. Nick finds an Accursed Spirit. Players playing a little bit too fast. Thought we had life totals right. And that's what these players figure out themselves. So the race is on now. We got the Black Intimidator out. Okay. We'll trust what these players have going on out there. Alec, of course, is known for playing at a speed that is not meant for mortal men. We see a Zoff Shade from Nick with a follow-up of a Satyr Wayfinder. Gonna get him a land off that. Alec going to come in for 2. Alec has a lot of lands and no blockers back, so we'll see what trick he has. Going to pump the Zoff Shade on Nick's side. Alec just going to take it all. Go down to 3. Nick's sitting at a relatively healthy 12. Only facing down 2 power from Alec. Of course, Alec did mulligan. Looks like the contents of that hand were playable, but nothing too impressive. Nick going to untap and bash in. And a quick game 1 goes to Nick Reid, who played a lot of dudes and turned them sideways that game. These 2 players play fast because they do. They have both shuffled up and presented. Alec going to go forced go. Nick going to match him with a Swamp. Satyr Wayfinder, both these kids playing the 2-mana 1/1 to try and find some extra lands. Nick going to drop down to 19 from Alex's Satyr. And the turn 3 Elvish Mystic. One of the worst Elvish Mystics. Runeclaw Bear going to come down, put a brick wall up. Actually going to take that wall and start attacking you with it. Gets in for 2. There's the Zoff Shade. So Alec really with no attacks here. Just offers the trade with the Elvish Mystic. Nick not wanting to throw away any kind of potential larger creature. What happened there was the Runeclaw Bear gets through, Zoff Shade gets blocked, and then Titanic Growth to save our Satyr Wayfinder. Seems like a bit of an odd play whenever I guess Alec was trying to induce last turn by offering the better creature in combat to Nick. It looked like all he wanted to do was incinerate that Titanic Growth in his hand. Mission accomplished. Nick's follow-up play is a second Zoff Shade. There's a second Seder Wayfinder. That one very narrowly hits an island. We'll attack with the first one. Life total is going to be 14 to 17 now, because we did not block that shade last turn. So Alec blocking with the Seder Wayfinder, going to tap it for Convoke. And gather some courage. Nick gonna pump to try to eat it. Follow up with the Ranger Scowl. Casual 3-for-1 on Nick's side. And there's an end cross from Alec. Alec quickly falling behind simply due to Nick having better creatures on the field. Takes 2 this turn. Chump with the Seder. There is a worm, 5/5 worm with trample. Alex still had all these lands, and they're going to take probably one of the quickest matches in Lost Legion Games and Comics release draft history. Did he get? Oh, he's got 3 lands and 3 spells in his hand. That seems like a keepable 6 to me. Trying to catch what Jonathan has in his hand, or in his deck, as he mulligans to 5. We see Jonathan on Swamps, so we got at least one of his colors right. Neither player going to have a turn 2 play. Jonathan just going to be on Mono Swamps. Joseph going to land his turn 3 play. It looks like it's the 2-3. Jonathan going to miss his land drop and not have any action this turn. Going to take 2. And there's the Warden from Beyond. Just a 2-2 right now. Currently no cards in exile. Jonathan up to 4 Swamps, so we're just going to say that Jonathan's on black. Not the most difficult thing to draft a monocolored deck, but definitely unlikely. And it looks like Jonathan plays the Paragon. Joseph gonna play the Kithkin of the set that comes into play and gives one of your dudes +1 till end of turn. Gonna go ahead and attack Jonathan. Attack him with the Warden as well, down to 13. There's another Zoff Shade. We saw a lot of Zoff Shades at this table. I know we saw Zach draft at least one. There's the Amphin Path Mage. So, Joseph set up pretty well here. He's got a nice wall of creatures. Is facing down a pretty intimidating Zoff Shade, but if he can get a card in exile, this Amphin Path Mage, plus Warden of Beyond, definitely enough to take over this game. Path Mage, of course, does have an activated ability that costs 4 mana, and you get to unblockable one of your dudes. You get to Thassa one of your dudes. It's basically Thassa, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's basically thoughts. Alright, so we've got a second color finally out of Sir Jonathan Wright. The right is playing white, and he's on the right. I said as I'm working on my speech and pronunciation. Oh no. The worst Rotfeaster Maggot ever. Rotfeaster Maggot, the 3/5 that gets to come into the battlefield. Exile a creature from the graveyard. Of course, there are no creatures in the graveyard, so the trigger doesn't even happen. Uh-oh. And it being a 3/5, it does fall prey to the exile a creature with 4 toughness or greater spell out of white. That Warden of the Beyond now is going to be a 4/4. Anthem Pathmage going to come in and trade with the Zoffshade. I'm sure both players are happy with that exchange, as those are cards that it looked difficult to deal with for the other side. Vampire going to come down. Jonathan going to have the option to start sacrificing his dudes. Of course, that would have been a good play last turn if he had open mana up, as it would have prevented his creature from getting exiled. Of course, these plays are just theoretical, as none of that was technically possible. He's now facing down a 2/3, a 2/2, and a 4/4 Vigilance. That Warden of the Beyond definitely getting scary. Can't get unblockable now. Joseph might come to regret tossing his Pathmage out of the way. Of course, he did get the Zoffshade that was getting pumped by the Paragon off the field. And there's your 2/1 Hexproof. Joseph gonna counter it. Discard the card that he drew, which was another 2/3. Otherwise, that'd be a very hard card for him to deal with. Of course, he does have bigger creatures than what that currently is. The Hexproof creature is only a 2/1 that can gain first strike, but it looks like he held up counter magic on that turn on purpose, so why not use it? Shove it in here for 6. We'll see if Jonathan has any interest in blocking. He looks like he can sacrifice one of his creatures if he needs to. Of course, these are both high-value, uncommon creatures on his side of the table. I don't think he'll want to do either thing. And he's facing down 3 mana. Joseph, then remembering that he gets to draw a card off of his enchantment that he just slammed down that turn. So, no fear out of Jonathan Wright. Blocks the 2/3. Joseph was clearly just wanting to draw the extra card. Follow-up play is the Dauntless River Marshal, which is a 3/2 and is threatening to tap down a creature on the next turn. Jonathan Wright, quick to act here, plays the 3 mana 1/2 Aura Tutor card, basically a Stoneforge Mystic for your auras. Finds a Crippling Blight, was about to cast it on Dauntless River Marshal. Joseph Deal double checking with him just to make sure that he was aware that the Dauntless River Marshal was a 3/2. Turns out Jonathan Wright wasn't aware, so Crippling Blight is currently in his hand. Doesn't look like he had another aura that he could tutor for. No one, let's see. Let's see what, I know what I'm doing wrong. Thank you for bringing that up. Exploring Lauren. I did have a bracket missing in this wall of text that we use to format all of the text on the screen. Joseph going to get aggressive, tap down a creature, attack for 7, gets to draw a card, since he is attacking with 2 creatures. Can't for the life of me remember that name of the enchantment, but it says whenever you attack with 2 creatures, you get to draw a card. Of course, Joseph having no trouble doing that. Jonathan gonna block with his Paragon, block with the 1/2, sacrifice it to his Vampire, get to gain a life, get to put a +1/+1 counter, still drop down to 7. Of course, this is a wash on the power and toughness of his guy, as his Black Lord died. Ooh, that let out a big yawn. There's a Crippling Blight on the Soul Warden. There's a Solemn Offering on the enchantment. So, Jonathan fighting as hard as he can to get back into this. Joseph has drawn a couple extra cards, and he has a very efficient 4/4 beater. Oh my goodness. And as I go to adjust a life total, Joseph drops a bomb on the table. That would of course be Soul of New Phyrexia. Soul of New Phyrexia coming down the turn after your opponent's Solemn Offerings, your 2-mana enchantment. Pretty fortunate. Of course, I don't know if Joseph knew about the Solemn Offering or had a feeling that Jonathan had a disenchant in his hand. And Omnixus comes down on Jonathan's side, and Constricting Sliver comes down on Joseph's side. So Mesmeric Fiend, or Fiend Hunter, your Omnixus, attack you with all my dudes. Joseph suddenly realizing that he's killed his opponent, winning the match. Alright, so congratulations to Joseph Deal. Seems like he's got a pretty functional deck.